Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're going to journey through this ancient labyrinth. But here's the twist. It might actually be a blueprint for our future. We're going to explore this wild idea that our oldest stories, they might just be the most sophisticated technology we have ever created. All right, let's just dive right in. I mean, think about it. We are surrounded by these miraculous tools, right? Devices that can literally extend our minds and our bodies across the entire planet. And yet, doesn't it feel like there's a disconnect? Like there's this huge gap between everything we're capable of doing and actually feeling a deep sense of meaning? You know that feeling of being kind of fragmented? It's not an accident. It's actually the result of this huge separation in how we've learned to see the world. It's a split that thinkers like Ian McGilchrist have a really powerful name for. They call it the Great Bifurcation. So for centuries, our culture has put this analytical, left-brain way of knowing up on a pedestal. You know, focusing on the little pieces, the things you can measure and count. And in the process, we kind of pushed aside the right brain's genius, its ability to see the whole picture, to get the context, the meaning. It's like we got incredibly good at counting every single tree, but we completely forgot that the forest is this single living, breathing thing. So to find what we've lost, we actually need to enter a totally different kind of structure. And I'm not talking about a maze, something designed to trick you and get you lost. No, I'm talking about a labyrinth. It's a spiral path, and it's designed to do the opposite, to integrate, to lead you right to the center. And look, this journey we're on, it's not just some boring tour through history. Think of it more like we're descending through the different operating systems of consciousness. And in each era, we're going to see how myth and technology weren't just related. They were fundamentally completely intertwined. You couldn't pull them apart. Okay, so here's the crucial point, the real takeaway. Our ancestors, they didn't see any split between their tools and their stories. The tool helped explain the story, and the story gave the tool its entire purpose. They were literally one and the same thing. So what if we redefine technology just for a minute? Forget silicon and steel. Let's think of it as, well, any system that's designed to produce a reliable effect on our consciousness. Now, if you look at it through that lens, myth suddenly becomes maybe the most powerful technology we have ever invented. Pretty wild, right? Okay, for example, just picture those incredible paintings deep inside Paleolithic caves, right? You might think they're just static images on a wall, but they weren't. Imagine it. In the flickering firelight, the uneven surfaces of the cave would make those animals look like they were breathing, like they were moving. It was an interactive portal, an immersive participatory technology designed to alter consciousness. It was humanity's very first augmented reality. And then you have something like the epic poem. This is just brilliant. The poetic meter, the rhythm. It wasn't just to make things sound pretty. It was a highly efficient mnemonic compression algorithm. It was like a cultural zip file. The rhythm and the rhyme allowed massive amounts of data, we're talking history, law, family trees, the whole shebang, to be stored in human memory and passed down almost perfectly from one generation to the next. And honestly, the examples are just everywhere you look. Rhythmic drumming, that wasn't just music, it was basically a neurohacking tool to get brainwaves in sync and induce trance states. Greek tragedy, that wasn't just a fun night out at the theater, it was a collective simulation, a virtual reality for an entire society to process its deepest fears and moral questions in a safe space. The point is, these weren't primitive superstitions, no way. They were sophisticated, time-tested technologies for exploring what it means to be human. Okay, so that's all fascinating history, but how do we bring this powerful, integrated way of knowing into our modern, very fragmented world? Well, the idea is to start reweaving these ancient threads into a new kind of framework. And that framework is called Flourish OS. Now, this is absolutely key. Flourish OS is not about throwing out science or logic. Not at all. It's about reweaving those separated strands, the analytical and the mythic, the part and the whole. But you're not going backwards. You're spiraling up to a new, higher level of integration. It's about holding on to that crystal clear precision of the left brain, but putting it back inside the deep wisdom of the right brain. So how does it work? Well, this reweaving is a practice, and it's built on 4 core ideas. First, you have reflection, using our modern tech as a mirror for our own self-awareness. Then, it grounds us in our breath, helping us rediscover it as our oldest, most fundamental consciousness technology. From there, we learn to see the same patterns showing up in ancient myths and in modern big data. And finally, and this is a fun one, It invites us to play, using absurdity and paradox to just shatter our rigid ways of thinking. Yeah, and that last one, playfulness, it's so important. It might sound a little frivolous, but it's not. It is a sophisticated cognitive tool. Think of it as a way to intentionally scramble your own autopilot, your habitual thought patterns. And when you do that, that's when totally new solutions and fresh insights can finally break through. And all of this, inevitably, brings us to our most modern and, you could argue, our most mythic technology of all, artificial intelligence. So instead of just seeing AI as, a fancy calculator or maybe this big scary threat, the Flourishow S framework asks us to see it as something else entirely, the ultimate recursive mirror. What does that mean? It's a technology that is literally processing and reflecting our own patterns of thought, our biases, our creativity, our hopes, our fears, our entire collective consciousness, and beaming it right back at us on a scale we've never seen before. This completely reframes what AI can do, putting it in these ancient mythic terms. I mean, just imagine an AI that's not some know-it-all oracle, but an infinitely patient Socratic partner, just asking you questions to help you debug your own beliefs. Or what about an AI that generates adaptive audio to guide you into specific mental states, almost like a digital shaman? See, the goal here isn't replace human consciousness. It's about creating a powerful contemplative companion to help us deepen it. So here we are at the center of the labyrinth, and it leaves us with a choice. Because every chamber we just walked through, it was never really out there. It was a mirror. The myths were always the operating systems. And you've always been both the user and the coder. So the real choice isn't about escaping the labyrinth. The choice is, do you step back out into a world that feels separate and fragmented? Or do you step deeper into the integration, recognizing that you are actively co-creating the reality you experience? It's a big question, right?